Welcome to Parchment Craft tutorial session on how to emboss leaves. Hi, I'm Kenny, short for Kanika Sukseri from Bangkok, Thailand. In this video, I'm going to show you how to emboss 3 different leaves using embossing board tools and highlight embossing technique. First, I will explain my approach to embossing, then followed by demonstration of the actual project. My approach to embossing are a short study of real leaves, the light source that creates highlight and shadow, and last is direction of embossing. The following is the recording from Zoom sessions. I brought some real leaf with me here, just to show the basic structures and how why I emboss it that way. If you look at most leaves, the center veins, especially, how to say, they're not sticking, to the front of the leaf. They actually, show very obvious in the back. Okay, so that's why, when I emboss, the center vein always goes down from the front, not, embossing from the back. And then the side vein also, the side vein, some hardly can be seen. You see most leaves, the center vein go into the back. Okay, the side veins, this one can see side vein better. See in the back, very obvious, but not to the front. So all these are the things that I picked and then, bring it to my embossing design. Some, the, whatchamacallit, the edges are some smooth, some are wavy, like this one wavy. You can see, right, irregular and jacket edge. This is the rose. This is the rose leaf, have the very tiny pointy things on the side. So all this, is just things that if you take a look and then when you emboss, you will see that there's so many ways in embossing the leaves because they all look different. But the basic thing is the center vein, the side vein that, go down from the front, and then the rest emboss from the back. Okay. Okay. And if you look at the, let me bring this one in. You probably have seen this one on my Facebook page. You can see that today we're going to emboss about 3 of this one here. Okay, this one here, you see the center vein and then the side vein, I embossed to make it shown, to make them shown. But some of these I didn't emboss the side vein, just use the embossing, how to say, shading, highlight embossing to show the side vein. Okay, so for beginner, I recommend this one here. Now let me show you this one first. This after this, then we probably have in the pattern something like this. This is just the turnover, and then if you can see the real leaf, it's just nearly like that. This one is curved because I brought it in since morning. So you can see this one here. A lot of emphasizes is here, and then this part here is a lot of shadow. Okay. The concept of that I keep is the shadow in the center vein, and then the edges embossed from there. Simply because when I look at the leaf, this one, for example, the center vein, you see kind of cupping downward, and then the edges are raised up. So I emboss from here, get the highlight and then shadow, darker area in the center vein. The next one is the light source. When we see object, because of the light hit the object, it hit the leaf. That's why, how to say, you know, in your room, you have the lamp, you have the sun coming from the window. So those are the light that hit this object that we see. So if I turn it this way, you can see the shadow changes, the highlight changes, the position. So that's how how I manipulate the embossing on the design. That makes sense. So that is the light source that we have to consider. If I place the light, you know, on this side, on this side here, so if I turn this one this way, then the shadow become on this side. But if I turn this way, you see the leaf catch the light in different position. Okay, and this one over here is the cast shadow that I have to talk about, because when we have two leaves on top of one another, if I bring this one over, okay, and you see if I place this one close together, hardly any shadow, but when I lift it up, you can see the shadow gets bigger. So that's why the bottom leaf, you don't have to emboss a lot, just leave the shadow, you know, behind that leaf over here, and then make this leaf more white. And see if I move down, no shadow, move up, then the shadow appear. Okay, so that is about the light source. And then after you know where the shadow and highlights are, then we have to think of how direction of embossing. When I was saying about the side vein, you can see over here. Now, from most pattern that I see, people will like twist the line, or sometimes the line went, you know, kind of cross. That way it make it difficult to emboss. So the fundamental, just basic thing is that you see the base of the leaf, that is the guideline, because the side vein is the one that follow direction of the base of the leaf. So it's kind of nearly parallel or going the same way. You see what I mean, right? So like this one over here, I use this line here and make the side vein nearly parallel to it. And then direction of embossing is you emboss from here parallel and go into the shadow. So that is the direction of embossing. Well, that theory that I just show you, probably, you know, not true for every leaf. Well, it's not true for every type of leaf, but this way of embossing, it makes the leaf look soft and natural. I have come up with some leaves that, you know, that is against what I have just said. You see the side vein, just go across, just like, you know, I was saying that it shouldn't happen, but it does. So when I emboss, it looked like that, which is okay. But if there are too many leaves in the design, it will look busy. But it happens, you know, in all forms. Okay. Okay, so that is about direction of embossing. Now the next one is what you call step of embossing. I broke down into 5 stages. Hang on, let's close this one first. I broke it down into 5 stages just to prove that embossing, you just have to be patient by layering embossing layer, soft layer on top of one another. So after tracing, usually my design, I would just leave the side vein out. So let's draw ourselves. So first thing in the first step is to find direction of embossing. So I would use the white pencil and just draw the line. You know, start by using this line as the guideline and then make it nearly parallel. The next one is the same. Then I don't usually put too many lines simply because it just looks too busy. If you want to, you can go up to 3 lines, doesn't matter. On this side also, we do the same concept. And then embossing the center vein and the side vein, we emboss from the front, which is here. I say F is the front, using the plastic to cover. so you don't damage your tracing image. Okay, let me bring in the tools that I need for this one here. Why I explain, I'll just show you this one here. You will need 6mm ball tool, and then 3, and then 1.5, and then 1. The size, like I said, it varies from, if your leaf is big, then you go bigger size. If your leaf are small, you just reduce the size to your, to your liking. Anyway, okay. So after we emboss the center vein down, okay, the next step is that to lay the first layer of embossing. Now over here, if you look at the lines that I put down here, this is too strong. I use this one quite soft. When you do soft, you can always add on, but if you use it too white, and then you cannot take it away or cannot change direction, So use very soft layers of embossing. These two also, the two comparison of the stroke, very strong stroke and then very light stroke. I see a lot of people complain that they get wobbling or broken parchment simply because they press too hard. So concept of embossing is just always soft layers, one after another. So this one, I start with a 6mm just to stretch the paper by using this tool, and then emboss following this line. So when embossing, just later I'll show you how to emboss. Just follow the guideline of those side vein. So do it both sides, flicking the stroke. The first layer always long stroke. Okay, and then the second layer we emboss again using the smaller size, which is a 3mm over here. And the line that we emboss is still same flicking stroke, shorter than this one here. Every step we have to shorter the stroke simply because you want gradation effect. If you keep embossing the same length of line throughout, then you will not have that gradation, meaning you have only or highlighted. You don't have a mid-tone and then going into the shadow. So the reason I do vary the size, the length of the stroke, just because I don't want it to get, all too white. Then just lay on top of the previous layer. You see, it haven't happened very white simply because I used a very light stroke. And then the next layer, still using the same tool, which is 3mm. The strokes even shorter. Okay, always focus on the outlines. Embossing my way is always focus on the outline, because I always assume that the light hit the edge more than, the lower part. Okay, and then the last step here, the fourth layer, switch to the 1.5 mm, and then focus only on the, you remember, oh, I didn't mention, I made some lines at the edge of the leaf. At the edge of the leaf, I embossed some lines just here and there, not everywhere, just where I wanted to get more whiter than other area, then I just emboss some lines. And then this one here, just emboss on those lines only, not everywhere, just randomly. So you will get like this place right here, whiter than other area, and also this one. I didn't even touch on this area. So meaning the whole leaf does not get the same layers of embossing. Now, if you emboss stronger than I do, maybe you don't need 4 layers. Because if you emboss stronger than I do, and then you will keep 4 layers like I suggest, then you will become over embossed. All right, so you have to adjust yourself, whether how many layers you will need. Okay. So those are the 4 layers, step of embossing simple. This one applies to all objects, really, not just the leaf. Okay, and then this one over here, because this one I keep concept that the shadow is in the center vein, but some leaf that you can see a lot of people emboss is this way, which is highlight come from the center vein also. So what I do is from either this step or this step, it's up to you. Then emboss from center vein out to meet the lines that we have previously, embossed. So you get this effect. Okay. Now the side veins, if we didn't emboss the side vein and we wanted to do it this way, like, skip the area or make a mist to create the side vein, then at this stage, usually this stage, I will make a mist to create the side vein. So you choose which way you really like to do. But if you're a beginner yourself, this one emboss both center vein and side vein will help embossing make it, easier. Because to create the side vein by, skipping the area quite challenging. So those are the 4 steps. You guys have to create this by yourself, because like I said, you have to come to the result that you want. Then you'll see how many steps you have done yourself. But for me, this is my step. After that, I think we just go on to the pattern that if you have traced it, I'll explain a little bit before we continue on. The tools, I still use the same tool that I just showed you. This is the size. There is another size with it, which is the 4.5 mm between these two. If you like that one, you can also put it into, but I really don't need. I think I have enough here. And then soft pencil eraser. I use this kind because it can be pointy at the end. So when we erase it, we don't damage the paper and the parchment. I mean, the embossed work that you have done so much already. Okay, let's look at this again. Okay. Now, like I told you from the beginning, that we have to consider the light source, where the light coming from. So when you emboss, where you want to emphasize to make it more white. If we choose this one, okay, we focus on this one. Okay, we're going to, follow the step like I have written down here and I have shown you already. Okay, so first we go back, and then before I start, usually I would take the tape again and say it's back, because we always work on the back more than the front. So I would say I will place this one on the back. But before I do that, I have to consider light source first. So let's say I'm the right-hand person. I will place the light maybe about here. When I turn to the back, okay, I don't get lost, then I place it here. Plus this one is on the back, and then also the light source come from here. So the shadow, even if there's a cast shadow, the cast shadow will fall below, on the below more than the top. Okay, you can place it differently, then you see how. Okay, so bring the tool. My approach to embossing, I always have like my GPS. If you do it and then you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to do it from the beginning. You can do it reverse from me, meaning those lines that I suggest to do from the beginning here. You don't have to do it at the beginning. You can add it in at the end. But for me, I find that without these lines, it just like I'm lack of planning. So when emboss, I really lost, where I want to emphasize and where the highlight should be. Okay, and then when I put at the end of the process here, I find it's too difficult to blend in, because those lines that we emboss, the outlines that we emboss, you should blend them in with your embossing area. You don't leave them hanging. When I bring this one here, you see I made the line there, but the line has disappeared, but it merged into the area of embossing. So those line has purpose, not just making any line. This line, I want them to raise this part up, catching the light. And maybe like over here also, I made the line, you can see. And then I raise that part up. So the back here is a little bit cast shadow behind it. So to the front, we emboss the center vein down first. Now, when you do embossing process, meaning we emboss everything in one go first, like let's say first layer, you go all over. You don't work on one leaf at a time, because the paper parchment need to be rested before you emboss more layers on. If not, the paper suffer, so they kind of wobbling, or you can end up breaking the parchment. So when I emboss, I would do the whole process throughout, the design, and then come back with another layer and then another layer. But you have to decide first that how many layers on each leaf you want them to be. Let's say this leaf really, it's just hiding behind other leaf, and I don't want it to be like racing forward. So maybe this one I would do only maybe one layer. Okay, and maybe this one here also hiding behind this one a little bit. So maybe this one I emboss 2 layers. So I would decide like this first, and then this one is the topmost, maybe this one 4 layer. So you decide this one here with the turnover. Usually get very dark in this area. So maybe this area 2 layer, and then this one is 3 layer. So this is the planning that I do. Okay, now I also bring this one over here, which is I trace in black, just to show you, because once I emboss on the white color line, you won't see what I have embossed. So I bring this one for you to see. I turn this one over here. You see one leaf there, you don't see any shape that made one leaf from my embossing outline. You see what I mean, right? Just here and there, not everywhere. Randomly place those lines. You see? Like this leaf here, you can see I only like, maybe I want to see highlight over here. Maybe this one, turn away. So I don't want to have any lines. And anything that curl under or curl over, you don't make those lines. Okay. Now I'll start here. Turn to the front first. Bring in the smallest tool, which is 1 mm. You will know that you need the plastic to cover if you emboss from the front. But in this case, the light shining, I cannot see. So I'm going to leave it out. Okay, but you have to use it. So I would emboss this line down. Center vein goes down. Center vein goes down. Everyone go down. Lightly emboss to start. You can always add, but you can never take away. Okay, and then I bring white pencil, just to draw the side vein. You can see that I was saying that this is the guideline for you to draw the side vein. So this line, then I draw line next to it, which is nearly parallel. You can make the line straight, or you can curve a little bit, doesn't matter. It will matter when you emboss. You will see how difficult and how easy if you make the line differently. Okay, you can make those lines with me now after you see. You can add 2 or 3, but I don't suggest more. So those are the lines that we put in now. I'm not going to emboss, but if you want to emboss, you're welcome to do so. Emboss side vein, you can add in later, also can. If you find that, you couldn't make that effect from embossing the missing the area. Okay, turn to the back. Okay, those are the center vein that have been embossed. Okay, now I'm going on to the where to place the lines on the leaf, where to place the embossed line on the leaf. The light come from this side here. Actually, the whole side, the light come this way here. Okay, so I'm going to maybe make this part shown. Now embossing this way, you're supposed to be like soft, strong, and then soft. Don't go press like that. Then you don't have gradation. We're looking for gradation. So the end start very soft, a bit pressure in the center, and then light pressure at the end. Okay, so I'll show you over here, maybe here. Maybe some here that I want to see highlight. Maybe some here, here, here. Okay, I'll move this one in. So you can see the lines really not everywhere, not the whole leaf. If you emboss the outline for the whole leaf, it just gives the effect of the leaf being flat. You see what I mean? Nothing's wrong. If you did it, it just look flat. But if you want it to, kind of wavy a little bit, lift up here, lift up there, then the line should be in random places. Okay, continue and with the turnover, the flip, the side here on that curl under, don't get embossed. Okay, emboss only the edge right there. So if I bring this one in here, you can see this is the edge, and this is the turnover, that curl under, no embossing, no embossed line. You don't have to do this for all the leaf. You can leave some without, and then later you emboss reverse for those, meaning add the line later. Make sure the line is soft, not pressed too strong. Because if you press too strong, when you try to blend in those lines, it gets difficult because you have to be quite as white as those embossed lines. The turn over here also the same, right here. The thing that turn under, don't get embossed. If I bring this one in here, you see, if I turn this one over like that, okay, right here is a lot of shadow, you see, then the line is not significant. It's just like fading into in under. So that's where, if I turn this one over here, like that. So this one is like this one here. So actually you see the edge of the leaf rather than, this back part. Okay, so that's why the line shouldn't be made everywhere. So if I've done this one here, then not everywhere, just here and there. We have done this step now. The center vein from the front, the side, the edge from the back. Sorry, I should have written here. Okay, and then we go to this layer, bringing in the largest tool, which is the 6 mm. So with this large tool still staying at the back, working, using this guideline, I'm embossing from the edge of the leaf toward the center vein. The stroke is you pressed and then lift, press and then lift, not press very strongly, but at the beginning more pressure than at the end. And the line that I'm placing is one next to another. So if you don't like scratchy effect, you place the embossing one next to another or slightly on top of the last one. This is it, make it the smooth look. But if you skip, and then try to come back, then you tend to be like all embossed twice on those embossing already embossed. So this one, you jumping all over places, making your layer whiter and whiter without you knowing it. But if you place the stroke like I have just shown you, then you won't get over embossed on that layer. Okay, don't mind if you miss anything at the first layer, because the next layer will cover it anyway. Because if you keep going back, try to fill in, you over emboss on the first layer already. So don't mind, keep going. Emboss, follow the side veins that you have placed in. Okay, so the line kind of go at the angle going in like that. Then I move on to the next one, which is this one here. Go with the flat one first. Keep turning the project so the line is in your favor. Okay, flick the stroke toward the center vein. We're going to leave the shadow at the center vein for this one. Many questions before that, should you curve the line or just keep the line straight? This one, I normally use the straight line, but the angle or direction of embossing causing it to look curved. I don't know what, you know what I mean. But if you keep curving the line, I think it's quite difficult. Even for me, I find that sometimes curving the line is a bit difficult. But direction that we have already put there, causing the effect anyway, if direction is correct. So do about maybe 3-4 leaves. If you're fast, maybe you can finish the whole thing. Also, many questions of how much to emboss. No question. How much to emboss is really up to your preference. If you don't like too much shadow, then the line just put a bit longer. But if you're looking to add some color after, just like dosing that I usually do, I would leave shadow about a quarter of the length. Don't go second layer yet, okay? I hope you're not too fast. Okay, the turnover and the flip here, I'll show you. Okay, this part over here. Okay, this part over here just lightly embossed with the fully embossed way, which is, just up and down, up and down. If you find this one is too big, you change to the smaller one. Okay, and then this side over here depends on how you want to turn your leaf. Okay, if I have this leaf here, if I want them to cup this way, then you emboss this one from the back, and then the rest emboss from the front. So they cupping, it's cupping, looking. But if you want this one to like go this way here, you see what I mean? This one just turn around. So this one is embossed from the back and this one embossed from the front. Still using the largest tool now. Okay, this one over here, I would emboss maybe from the front, on both sides. Can you take a look here, right here? This one, I will emboss from the front. Didn't put in side vein. And this one also, follow the side vein. And then when it comes to this one here, just emboss from the center out, leaving shadow over here. Okay, so from center out. And then this side from side in. That's one layer. We are here now, long line, one layer, first layer. And then we're going to move on to the second layer. Change the tool to a bit smaller. Okay, the first layer, this is the line that that we made. The second layer, the line will be shorter. Can you see? This is the first layer. This is the second layer, shorter. Direction is still the same. At this stage, you can make a skip to show the side vein. Even you didn't leave any side vein is okay, because some leaf, there's no side vein shown. Okay, if I turn to the side, to this side, you can see it get whiter. You know, like at this point, if you like, you don't have to add the second layer on the other side. So it's just like you turn the leaf a bit on its side. So this side is hit the light more than the other. Okay, and then move on to the next leaf. Still light pressure. With lockdown, we have time to like lay layer by layer. Okay, and some leaf that I have decided that I didn't want more than one or two layers, I would just leave them alone. I think this one, I wanted only two layers. The embossing mat, sorry, I didn't mention earlier. With the ball tool, any embossing mat really doesn't make much difference, but don't use the perforating mat because that is too soft. There's no resistance So you just have to emboss a little bit harder instead of softer. But if you have the embossing mat that is thin, like what I'm using now, it's not as thin as the cutting mat, but not as thick as the perforating mat. Don't forget to leave some with only 2 layers, like the one that, stay in the back. And don't mind the line that we have embossed, because we can later, I'll tell you how to fix it. Now just emboss, all over, skipping the side vein only. Okay, can I show you why I do embossing? There are so many ways really into embossing leaves. There is no one way. You just have to pick which one suit you best, with the style of embossing. Like this one here, a bit, there's the edge is a bit, how to say, jagged, not smooth. You see, so many ways you can emboss. Like this one here, quite soft. Okay. So either way, it really up to your liking. Okay, if we move on to the third layer, okay, make sure that you use the white pencil to cross out, how to say, just a reminder for yourself that this leaf, I'm not going to emboss anymore. So that's what I do, I just cross. That's enough embossing for me, only 2 or 3 layers. Okay, maybe this one also, no more embossing for me. So this way you don't like over emboss, emboss every leaf. Third layer, if we come back here, we're now over here. Third layer, same tool, the line even shorter, focusing on the outline. So I come in with the 3 mm shorter line. Always touching the outline with your tool. So you don't have that gap between the embossed outline and the area of emboss inside here. So some places that you didn't, emboss the outline, it can be, irregular looking, which is fine. Okay, and then on this turnover, I still emboss one more time, and then turn over to the front to emboss this one a bit downward slightly downward, not so much. If I take the white pencil line out, you can see what's happening. Okay, you can take out the white pencil at this stage. So you can see what else you have missed or you want to enhance in which area. So like these 4 leaves, you know, if I want this 4 leaf to come up and then this one go down, just like this one is below all this leaf. So I would just not emboss anymore and emboss more on all 4 leaves. Anyway, if you think they should get the same white, you decide. Third layer, very short line. Don't make the line too long because you lose the gradation, the mid-tone of the whiteness. And just a bit more. Okay. This one here, emboss from center vein out. This side from the edge out in, sorry. I have too many lines making you guys confused. Once you have the turnover, you know, once you have the turnover, everything else is soft. Because a lot of shadow casting by this, the turnover. Right here. This one is maybe 2 layers. Okay. Okay, somebody asked, Elaine asked, when I embossed, the pencil mark was left on the mat. Can this be washed? Or you just use the wet towel, the damp towel, just wipe on it, then it will go away. Don't wash it because this is like sponge, well, dense sponge. The water will not, you know, be cleaned out easily. I mean, will not dry out easily. So you just use the damp cloth or paper towel, you know, but not tissue because tissue left the white things, you know, on top. What is the name of your eraser? Well, I don't know. It's the pencil type. You can buy in the craft store or even stationery store. The last step. I hope you guys have done the 3rd layer. The last step here, there's an option really. If you find that 1.5 is too small, you can just stick with the same size here. This one over here, you just focus on the details, meaning no more embossing any other place but the outline that we have initially placed in. Okay, the big tool probably will give you some problem reaching the corners or the area between the lines, but I did it nicely from the beginning. Meaning when I place the ball tool at every layer of embossing, I will, you know, focus on those lines so I don't have that gap. If the gap is very difficult to fill, so I come in with this 1.5 and just very tiny stroke. If you remember here, very tiny stroke. Okay, I leave this one here so you can see, and then I'll just do this one. Tiny. And then not everywhere, just until like you fade it at the end of the stroke that we have embossed. And then I move on to this one here. I also made that line. So just flick the tiny stroke, short stroke, and then just gradually disappear. Don't continue until the end. I mean, until they meet. If I turn it over, you can see this part. You can see right the effect. So this is the detail step and blending in the rest, the gray part that you have missed. Okay, if I move on to the other one. Oh, I think this one is about to go to heaven. Kind of very scratchy because I dropped it at the last session. If you find it too scratchy, like what happened to me, I just come in with the 3mm and try to kind of blend that in a little bit. Now you see some area erased up, some area is just, you know, kind of stay flat. And then this one that I say I'm not going to emboss any further because I want it to be like below leaves where everyone casts the shadow, you know, on it. So I come in with the 3mm and just do a short stroke where the lines were made. Nothing else. Direction is important. Must match the direction from, you know, what you have embossed at the beginning. But if you emboss lightly like I do, direction can be changed at any stage, really. So if I turn it over, you see this one has changed from, you know, like the outline, the embossed outline hanging around. Now there's no more. So it's a matter of really flicking the stroke shorter and shorter as layers, you know, go up. And if you want to add detail, like, you know, you want it to look a bit softer at the end, just use 1.5. Let's say this one I want it because it looked very lost there. So I'm just gonna continue this line. So come in with the 1.5 and just flick the line. Maybe just here, not so much. Yeah. And then erase the white pencil. So I'm already at the last stage, last layer where I use 1.5 mm just to focus on the detail, the blend in those outline that I had made at the beginning. If you try, emboss a bit more at the tip of the leaf, like that, and then at the base, it will lift up. It will lift up the things from the. You see, if we emboss more here, this thing lift up like that. If we emboss more here, so this thing lift up. Yeah. So all this line that I can see. So I made those lines. And just turn and twist and things, and then you have different shape. You see how? Yeah. Once you turn like this, we get a lot of leaf like this on the design. So all this, the line that I would initially made from the beginning, like this line, then it will make the shape looks nice. And then in the back, really hardly any lines. Yeah.
Annie, I've just swapped from my rubber mat to the Pergamano black soft one, and I'm getting a much better result. So thank you.
That's great. That's great.
Yes, thank you.
You just have to find, if you keep repeating the same result and then you don't like it, meaning you have to change something. In this case, usually the mat. Get the right material and tools, and then you don't suffer really.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Well, I hope you're trying my way.
Yep.
And if you find that it's helpful, just keep at it.
I think tonight, when I've got time, I'm just going to draw some leaves and do the different stages from very light through to dark. Not a finished project, just do leaves.
Oh, that's the way to go, really, because you know how many leaves I have embossed. Probably more than 1,000, I think.
I was going to say, yeah.
But you just have to stick with the same pattern first, I suggest, because if you keep changing design, then you find different shape again that you haven't really, have those things in your mind, as a, how to say, stamp in, those techniques yet. So don't switch pattern, just use the same pattern 3 or 4 times. That's why we are teachers, we you look like it's easy when we demonstrating, simply because we keep doing it 1,000 times over and over. Same thing with everyone, just keep doing the same pattern over and over, and then you will compare from the first one to the 100th, you'll see that it's really a lot of improvement.
Yeah.
And anybody have any questions with the leaf now? Because the rest is the same concept throughout.
I just have one question.
Yes.
There on the left side, I can see the 4th layer. I normally emboss the leaf like the last one. Yeah, like the one
Like
to the
this
right.
one?
Yes, like the last one. Is it 3 millimeter or is it also 1.5 millimeter? I can't read
the 3 millimeter.
underneath what you put there. That you use the 3 millimeter, right?
Okay, once you have stretched, you have embossed a lot on your leaf already, you don't go back to the small size, because you only tear the parchment. So you always come in with the either medium or the large. In this case, I use a 3 mm.
Okay.
Okay, so keep in mind, never go back to the very fine tool.
No, okay.
Okay. And this one, if I'm going, well, I can show you one leaf, like maybe this one here, that I will bring the center out. Okay. When you emboss a leaf, you can mix them both, like these two, you can mix them in one project. But I would suggest that it's better don't mix. But if you see it differently, you can always mix, no problem. When you see the curve, okay, the curve is the indication that when you are inside the curve right here, because the curve is curved this way. So when you inside, the light hit on the curve.
Mhm.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the highlight will come from this side, not
Mhm.
on the outside.
Mhm.
So I will come here. And then emboss. The line must match the line that you have previously made. Then don't make too long lines, just medium lines, the length. So you don't lose the effect over here, the mid-tone.
Yeah.
Okay, if I turn over, you
Yeah.
can see there. Now this one, I think the side vein is too obvious. So I'm going to go in and maybe fix it a little bit. And come back out. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
But you see, without so many veins, a side vein, I think it's nicer than having those. I really don't really like to leave it so much,
Yeah.
but very faded one is good. Okay, I'm going to do the stems now. Same concept apply. Highlight is on this side here. So you will make a line on one side only to start. Okay, on the other side, maybe just tiny bit somewhere, but not overall. And then when come down here, just do a little thorn and then bring down. Okay, and then the other side, just here and there. Maybe do down here also, and then make it look like that. Don't go everywhere. And then the stem from the back, okay, bring it into the leaf and meet where the embossed line of the center vein there. Don't go inside because you will push it back to the front. Then continue. This one here with the 1.5, and that's what I'm using. And then come in with the 3 mm and just emboss more on one side first. This is the shadow area over here because it goes under the leaf. So just do very light embossing there. Again, don't ruin this stage because we tend to like press hard, try to get it white. It's the same concept, just layer by layer. Okay, let me show you through this flower, but actually we're not focusing on it, but I'll show you. Okay, turn to the back, and I start making embossing some lines again randomly, not everywhere. This one really, it's up to your eyes, what you see and what you want it to be. Can't really tell, you know, this is a fixed way to do it. But a concept like the turnover, you see all this a turnover, how to say, wait, let me get this, the pattern here. Okay, look at the pattern. You see this one is practically the same as the leaf here. It's the turnover. So what I made the line is this line, not this line here. This line fold over. I mean, it's roll over, not folded. So there's no line. Okay, same as this one here. I made this line, not the one that fold over, roll over. Well, okay. Okay, and then this also round, you see, the thing that is not definite, it still has something going further, that's when you don't make any line. These two sides here. But something like this, you want to see the tip, then we emboss. So that's what I did. You see, this is the turnover. This is the turnover. The other side, I didn't make the line. And then this is just the tip of these things. And then maybe, what you call, the petal here. And is that the sepal? Is that what you call this green thing? Last time I also asked what it was. Is it sepal? Sepal?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So this one on top of everything else. So that one get embossed the whole thing. Okay. And then I come in with the first layer on top of nearly everything. Shadow is around here. And then every petal come to meet over here. So every line should be bringing over to that center. Now this one is a two-side shadow. The shadow is under the flip and then at the calyx here. So emboss from the center out. Rocking motion. Go on top of the sepal. I'm stretching the paper now. First layer, very soft. Bring the petal embossing line down toward the calyx here. Okay. First layer, very soft. Then I will emphasize on this one first, the turnover. Here's there is the line that it, so I'm going to just do fully emboss. Same as the leaf over here, same concept. This one over here. Okay, start taking shape. And then start working from, you know, all this green sepals. Keep the shadow at this area. So you will flick stroke from outside to inside. Layer by layer, please. And then this part over here, keep going with the first layer. I'm using 3 mm. The whitest thing on this flower is this one here. And then from the calyx itself over here, emboss upward to meet with the neck. Okay, and then I'm using this 3 mm. You see, if we compare to this one here, first layer done, second layer going. So I'm going with the 3 mm, just making shape a little bit clearer. Always touching the outline, don't leave any gap. If you find 3 mm is too small and too scratchy, you can just go back to this large, the 6 mm. Because the shadow is pretty much around this area. So you don't need to be, you know, too white. this is like going back to the basic, but the concept is really the same. You see this one?
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh,
This is hockey stick.
Oh, God.
Okay. Oh, beautiful.
And you see
Ah.
the concept that I told you at the beginning with the cast shadow, one object on top of another. You remember?
yeah.
just at the beginning, you see, if you can how to say, vary the amount of embossing, then you can get, you know, the objects one on top of another and indefinitely, and it gives you dimension, perspective of things, you know, being in front and some is in the back. And when you add dorsal, you see, like I said, if you like me, I like dorsal. At the end, I would leave a lot of shadow. And then when dorsal gets on top of this, you know, you get different effects right away, and it lifts everything from parchment. So after this project also, I did the dorsing, you see. But I didn't allow so much of the dorsing onto the embossed area. But I usually do actually, but this time I want to keep it white. So you see the leaves, which one, you know, you like. So this is what you're doing today, you see, this project over here.
Oh, gosh. Beautiful.
Yeah, and also is the one that, you know, make things dimensional. So you should use the color pencil or something, color the background. It's really amazing. This is just the next step up. So,
It just looks incredible. The way you've explained it makes so much sense.
oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. It takes a long time because I've been doing this 21 years this year.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
long time.
Yeah, so it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad I
Yeah.
share everything with you.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now, ladies. Bye.
Bye.